Good morning, guys. What's up? We can sell my GME contracts, call away my shares, and I'm free from RC's mismanagement and stupidity. I don't know, if you sold them at 25, that might not be true. Cough sounds nice and crusty. Yeah, I'm definitely in the crusty stage. At some point, you talk about what it looks like if short paper squeezes. What will the warning sign to watch be? This band of yields. There's more treasuries that fall in that range. But basically you're looking for these to fall below the federal funds rate steeply, not where they're at now. I mean, like the 2 year is already a bit below the federal funds rate. But if you start seeing the 2 year moving below like 4% or something, another thing to watch out for would be a rapid decline in the dollar or rate hikes out of Japan. Thank you so much, Guitar Stuff. Welcome to Cornichon, guys. Woo!
Cornichon. Cornichon.
Jesus Christ, McLovin. Did you get blown up so hard that you bailed on Dillionaire again? I thought you shorted Lily. Can we go for Beyond quickly today? Deciding on averaging down my Jans. Beyond? Yeah. We can. Um, we could touch on it. But let me finish answering this other one. So those will be the warning signs to watch out for as currency spreads generally tighten globally, and remember that there is some easing that can occur there, like Bank of England last week, the EU, uh, primarily those two. But as the Fed cuts and Japan hikes, the dollar yen spread is going to get tighter. As that gets tighter, um, it's going to continue to drive rates at the long end up because the cost to carry that long-term debt is going to be felt more and more by the banks who are already significantly undercapitalized, right? And so uh, what we want to see is, as those spreads tighten, we're going to be looking towards that forward yields on volatility, as an indication that more and more bond funds are picking up a volatility hedge against equities. And largely what we saw last week is bonds getting marked to market in favor of purchasing equities. So right now, the dollar's running like crazy. Yields are moving up, but yields are still within a tolerable range for the risk. If yields start moving at the top end above 5%, 5.5%, 6%, that's really when the impact of that is felt in the tightening of financial conditions. So right now, leverage is broadening. Um, and the move up in dollar and the widening of the currency spreads is allowing more leverage into the market, which helps us push up, right? Especially because all of that leverage is getting directed towards equities. But at a certain point, that if the dollar continues to rise and yields continue to rise, it starts to become extremely stressful for credit markets. And you'll start to see financial conditions rapidly tighten, and banks will, start to have liquidity issues. Pretty severe ones. They're mark to market, they're securities held, like their unrealized losses on securities will begin to multiply very, very rapidly. Are used car prices going to get higher with Trump tariffs? I mean, are there that many used, like, new cars that aren't at least assembled in the US or Mexico or Canada? I mean, which are covered under NAFTA to a degree. So, I mean, unless he's going to overturn that, which I highly doubt, then, I don't really think new car prices are going to be affected that much. Yeah, there's some import stuff that could get hit, but the majority of, the consumer car market's not gonna really feel the pain from that. And if new car prices aren't rising, it's unlikely that used car prices are going to rise very much. Right now, used cars already have a demand issue, simply because rates are too high. Looks like someone needs dollars as collateral. Hmm. Yeah. Not well. Okay. Tesla HEIV breaking down while being super overextended up. It's time for puts. Well, hold on. So that means that, there's some short vol coming in the near term, but short vol, unless it's become entrenched, can still be squeezed out. So, I mean, you want to make sure that the short vol position is kind of actually taking control of the chain, and is suppressing the price, because when you have something like that where you're dealing with just rampant speculation, sometimes that short vol can come in and kind of cause price to flatten out a bit, but then it can get squeezed off again. We saw that happen with Nvidia on a few occasions, right? The short vol would pile in, and don't forget that Tesla is very similar to Nvidia in regards to the option selling ETFs. Um, like I know there's at least one or two like covered call ETFs on Tesla, and they're gonna be selling calls regardless. And so sometimes, you see those ETFs come in and start selling calls and they just get blown up. So I would be very careful and make sure that you can confirm a breakdown before getting puts. Like, you want to see the chain substantially weaken. You want to see delta and gamma decline, right? You want to see, like, total delta and gamma on the chain start to break down. Ideally, you want to see a loss of, like, GN or DN, to confirm all that. But opinion on CLOs? What about them? I mean, I don't really think we're at risk for a lot of commercial paper default right now. I mean, most big companies are sitting on a decent amount of cash. Is that what the concern is? Or is that just like Twitter stuff? I don't think collateralized loan obligations are an issue right now. Now, if the dollar were to break, right? Say short paper did squeeze, then yes, yeah, you would have probably have some serious issues in the CLO market. Absolutely breakfast after some cheap clapping, nice. But just stopping to say it's good to see you alive. Catch you later, later flaps. Trump Jr.'s comment regarding the Fed has me wanting to go super, super long yen. I've been picking up some long yen here and there, but not a lot yet. I think there's going to be, I think there's still going to be time to get into that position at possibly a better level, maybe like yen 155, which, well, that's where I added, but like 155 to 160. As much as, you know, we have really obvious economic issues with, you know, our current and future administrations, Japan's also going through a lot of political turmoil as well. The perception of potential price increases will cause price marks due to attempts at profit capture by greed inflating the market. Yeah, yeah. We're going to get a lot of downward pressure on the consumer if we implement any kind of tariff. I'd rather play the downside of Upstart than Tesla. Both Dex and Gex look like they broke down. I was thinking of pull back to 310 gamma before a chance out of the bounce if it was bullish. Okay, so you're thinking like really short term. Let me take a look. Gamma Max is still rising with spot, which is generally fairly bullish. Delta increased into the end of the week. A little bit of gamma fell off. I don't know. It looks like it can just keep going to me. The downside liquidity is a little bit thin, which may present some weakness. And the out of the money positioning is a little bit further out than OPEX. Quite a bit of it for next year. Not that much out of the money delta. So, I mean, it's still got some upside room. Not very much, I will admit that. But I would say it could just as easily go back up to 30 as fall back towards, you know, like 300, 310. But Delta didn't break down. Adjusted Delta did, but total Delta on the chain increased by, I mean, just on Friday by like almost 7 billion. 5 billion? No, 7 billion. Gamma broke down a little bit. Lost about 250 million in Gamma. But GM's still rising under spot. Gamma neutral fell. Delta neutral fell. That's not bearish. Generally. Yeah, I mean that's the problem with the tariffs. Largely, is that we're gonna see prices rise well in advance of actual tariffs being implemented. So just the speculation that it's going to happen is going to cause a lot of importers to start holding on to inventory that they believe they can sell for more money at a later date, which will naturally push prices up in the market as supply diminishes, right? And then in addition to that, we're going to get speculation on the idea that prices will rise in the future, which will also inflate prices. And so we'll probably get a lot of the inflation from potential tariffs before any actual policy is enacted. Simply the promise is enough. Are you done coughing blood? That was just like one time ish. Wasn't bad. Doctor said it was fine. Just a dry throat and a lot of coughing. They gave me some cough medicine, which I didn't take. I picked up some 15C Jans last week on Sofi. What are your thoughts on that stock? I feel like it's lagging a bit too much behind the rest of the financial sector. And they actually have like a little bit more of a promising outlook um, for rates continuing to increase and their net interest income. Um, I think some of that's starting to be realized, but I think it could keep driving up in the near term at least. Uh, yeah, obviously, if there's any banking risk, they will be mostly as exposed as everyone else. But banks love deregulation. Scissorkirk was a fun day. There's a possibility that customers will specifically refuse to buy USA made products and pay the higher prices out of protest. That's unlikely, given that everyone's kind of getting broke. Nick James, life has kept me off the market. I know there's a fair amount unknown until Orange Man takes office and fires up the executive order printer, but how are you feeling for Q1 too? Also, proud of my second birthday as a small PP. Thank you very much, Nick, for your continued contribution. Happy second birthday. And then I don't really know. I feel like we're probably going to see the dollar continue to rise through the remainder of Biden's presidency. As long as we don't hit risk at the top end on yields, I think they're going to juice this as much as they feasibly can. It presents a great opportunity to have other people come in and short bonds and long equities, and that's what banks need. They need that broad support, and for a window here at least they have it. What are your current thoughts on Celsius? I think a lot of the issues with the Pepsi distribution are now past. I think they should start to see some improved cash flows. I actually don't think their valuation's that unreasonable where it's at right now, but I have a feeling like that market tends to price multiples far higher than they should be. The value of future earnings is very, very high, which is a trend that Coca-Cola started a long, long time ago. When you do the straddle strategy, are you mostly closing as a whole or swinging? I find that when I swing, unless I get a full dead leg, I'm not being profitable. Lack of skill on my end. It depends. So, like, I have some puts open for this Friday that are really far out of the money, right? Like, I just didn't close them. down at like 57.75, I think. I don't have my brokerage open, but I think I have 57.75s for this Friday. And then I might have hold on, I'll just look. I think I have 57.75s and I have 59. I have 59.30s as well. Yep. So 59.30s and 57.75s that are open. Both for this Friday. I didn't close them because I had theta on them. But hopefully we see like a pullback this week and they print. If they don't, I don't think I care. The calls printed hard enough that these were more than paid for. So on occasion, when we get really big moves, I'll end up with like a lot of dead legs like this. Like the overnight move on off of the 75, far more than covered the cost of the 75s. And even the move off of 59.30 has pretty much covered those as well. And so, well, anytime we're above gamma neutral, I'm usually buying significantly more theta on the put side and significantly less theta on the call side. And we have the election coming up. And so for the election, I just opened the 57.75 with like 2 weeks. Well, almost 2 weeks. I opened that straddle on OPEX. Because I was trying to dodge the short-term spike in like event vol, which it did a little bit, not much. And then also because we had the election that night. And so, yeah, I got more theta on that than I normally would. And so usually my straddles are between 3 to 5 DTE, but there are exceptions to this. This is not like a solid rule. Going into the weekend, I get more theta. I get less theta in trending markets on the side it's trending to. I also usually put more leverage, so the leverage will be higher on the in favor of the trend, right? So, if SPX returns over the following like 5 days were, 2% and we're trending up, right? I'm gonna get far less theta on the call side, less theta on calls, more theta on puts. In flat markets, it kind of evens out. Or I'll switch to like short. If the market's really flat and like realized vol is crushing, sometimes I'll switch to like short strangles. I don't think we're quite in that range yet, but we're getting really close to a range where that could happen. But yeah, just give you some ideas. I mean, it's not. I mean, all of that stuff is just an effort to milk every last bit of profitability I can out of the position, and kind of increase those returns as much as I can. Right. So I'm really fine tuning it quite a lot. I don't think that's necessary. I have simply traded it as like 3 to 5 DTE straddles and been fine. Overnight moves when realized volatility is low tend to be larger. Most of the gains in the market are seen like above gamma neutral in the overnight session. Um, and so, I mean, you don't need to get that advanced with it. It's fairly simple otherwise. Like even something as simple as just being like 2 DTE calls, 3 DTE puts in a trending market can increase profitability like 5% a day. For Gamma Max and Vega Neutral and SPX versus SPXW, does one carry a higher weight? Yes, SPX by a lot. Notionally, the SPX chain is far, far larger than the SPXW chain. What the SPXW chain has a lot of, generally, is Gamma and Vana. And so, because all the options are really short dated, generally speaking. And so it's pretty rare for the SPXW chain to have nearly as much delta on it as the SPX chain. As far as I am aware, Gamma Max on the SPX chain is immutable. There is no moving above it. We never have, at least, in the time that we've been tracking, and we've been tracking some crazy fucking bull runs over the last couple of years, and never once have we breached Gamma Max on SPX. Although theoretically possible for it to happen intraday, that's also only because Gamma Max can move a little. Like if leverage were enough, we could see Gamma Max move up intraday. But then you're not talking about like an actual breach. It's just that, you're not seeing the movement in Gamma Max during the day. So like Friday is probably a good example of SPXW Gamma Max. I think SPXW Gamma Max was at 59.8674. And the prior day, it was at 59.93. And we closed. So Gamma Max is actually still moving down on the shorter dated contract. Where did we close at? So we closed at like a few dollars above it. Um, that's kind of strange, but that's the weekly one. We tested VN, like the SPX. Well, we came close to testing SPXW or SPX VN at 60.14 and just got immediately rejected. So like yeah, like VN GM on SPX are for really formidable levels. I think if Gamma Max were very close to Vega neutral on the SPX chain, you might be able to break VN. But remember, above when you're above both Vega neutrals, the MM is just long puts, right? And to drive the price higher, so the MM is going to start hedging their long puts. They're long like all the puts on the chain, basically. And so the MM is going to start hedging those, and so any increase in volatility, any drop in price, and everything starts selling off immediately, right? And so you have to keep the bid constantly like leveraged up and pushed. Otherwise, any fallback in the MM just dumps everything. Um, and being above both of those Vega neutrals is really hard because of that mechanic. But if Gamma Max were extraordinarily close to Vega neutral, like within $5-10, you could maybe push a little bit above VN on SPX. But I still don't think mechanically you can get above Gamma Max. You would have to have something really insane happen, like everybody would have to go synthetic long, like synthetic long gamma max, and then long like 20, 30 strikes out of the money, in huge size, right? You've got to get over, hundreds of billions of dollars in leverage on the gamma, and then maybe you could test GM on SPX. Like, I still don't think you'd get like above it, maybe a couple cents. But yeah, the SPX ones have far more importance and weight than the SPXW. But SPXW are very important intraday, right? I mean, if you look at Gamma Max on SPXW on Friday, we came up, we tested it, we tested it, we tested it. They kept leveraging up, and then eventually they were able to push up above it, but not substantially, right? I mean, we got like $20 above it, and then fell right back to it by the end of the day. I think had the day gone on a little longer, we probably would have fallen a little deeper. Right, we just ran out of time. Um, but maintaining that leverage at spot to hold prices here is very difficult. Anybody else participating in the market that's in the money and they take profits, they're going to rug pull you. So not only you have to fight against the MM who wants the price to go down because they're now long all the puts, you have to fight against every other bull who's like, okay, this is good, looks like resistance, I'm gonna close. And that's why these periods sitting at these levels tend to be really short lived. I mean, even in our most bullish price action, which was like December, like November, December, Jan, a little bit of Feb early this year, like 23, 24. And you guys probably all remember this really well. We got pinned to like SPXW, SPXVN for like a couple weeks. And they would like bulls would keep pumping it into Vega neutral, and then they would fail like $50 and they'd pump it back into Vega neutral and fail. And like every time they hit VN, it would just fail. Because there's really mechanically, there's not much more you can drive the index. Everyone's working against you at that point. Mm, SPXW VN's 59.66. They can hold it here for like a day or two. On SPXW, we're not getting above SPX VN right now. I'm talking about SPX, but SPXW VN, they're very close to one another, right? And they'll probably get closer to one another. Um, but holding above this, like we can close above VN. It's much harder to close above Gamma Max. We can close above weekly VN. Um, but it's unlikely that we'll stay above it for any extended period of time. Like all of the options market has to be unilaterally bullish in order to continue staying at this level. So the chances of it holding are very slim. Now VN could move up, but that usually requires that the market pulls back because short puts need to be closed. And if short puts prices fall, right? So short puts have to be closed, they have to be moved up. And then as short vol positioning is moved higher, um, VN will rise away from spot, and then that'll open up more room to the upside. Which also happened between December and Jan, at the beginning of this year. Like on those pullbacks, VN was allowed to rise, but vol was shorted so hard that we just kept slamming into it. Crypto bullishness gonna cause futures to go up. I feel it. I mean, crypto bullishness is just risk on, right? So yeah, yeah, I would agree for the most part. It has nothing to do with crypto, though. I mean, first of all the crypto people need to understand that the entire size of the market is, a fraction of precious metals, of FX markets, of equity markets, of bond markets. Crypto is such a tiny, tiny, tiny market, that it's really just a representation, like largely across the aggregate of the crypto market. It's just a representation of leverage and risk on. It's one of the reasons I don't like crypto, is because the values of it are entirely driven by funds, that are seeking alternative leverage in the market. And without those funds seeking that leverage, the price of Bitcoin can collapse extraordinarily fast. Retail just simply doesn't have the money to support the market. Thoughts on Affirm? I mean, the company itself, I think they suck. So they sold off to like 42. Um, yeah, let me look. I would still be cautious because Vol's going to still be falling following earnings. Um, I mean, Affirm kind of broke Gamma Max prior to earnings, then failed, found support at 42, where it doesn't even look, well, there's a little bit of support at 42 on the options chain. That's kind of where things start to flip bearish. However, 4750 is now going to be a resistance to the upside. If short vol comes in again at 4750, then it absolutely could start to come down. Realized vol's starting to pick up a little bit. IV30 didn't fall off much post earnings, but actually neither did IV10. So I'd be careful because IV on it's still pretty fucking elevated. IV60 fell a little bit. 90 didn't move much. Yeah, the IV following earnings is still quite high. So yeah, I'd be pretty cautious, uh trying to play the long side there, because that IV is going to be very, very tempting to short. If there's any pullback in indexes or fintech, a firm will probably get hit really, really hard. The downside support's weak, and upside resistance is high. So, um, vol sellers are going to be encouraged to sell those big strikes that are fully gamma. Getting to be long SROF time again at this price. I don't know. What SRF has a wonderful website that you can go to. Um, and if you go to their website and you look right at the top of the website, scroll down a little bit, it'll tell you what their NAV is and their market price and how much of a premium or discount they're trading at to the total value of their assets. If they're trading at a discount to their assets, it's generally a pretty good price. If they're trading at a premium to their assets, it's not a great price. We're doing spot arb on ETFs. No, I'm just explaining SREF. Beyond, why? What the fuck is wrong with you guys? Why are you okay? So Beyond doesn't go on Reg Show anymore, which makes it infinitely more shitty than it used to be. And everybody who's still playing it is playing it because you guys can't walk away from a stock that made you money one time. It's I wouldn't even fuck with it. What are you gonna play? $5.50 to $7? Why? Like, yeah, there's short vol and calls are relatively cheap. But you could find that a million other places with $10 of range or $5 of range. When it was going on Reg Show, it was extraordinarily consistent. It's no longer that. Um, so what's the thesis? It's getting some sell off. It got sell off after earnings. More liquid dropping price. So people are selling it. That's not bullish. I've seen Nvidia leverage ETFs and AMD leverage ETFs are on Reg Show. Sounds bullish. See, that's bullish. Haha, Seymour. Did you sell GME calls here? Premiums are pretty juicy. GME's probably run the extent of where it's getting to. It might have a little bit more upside still. Mm, yeah, IV hasn't started to fall off very sharply yet. The near term IV is not rising very much though. God, GME's so fucking liquid now. Oh yeah, yeah. Actually, you know what? GME's probably not going anywhere. It looks like 25 is probably the top. Unless someone comes in and buys a shitload of it, I don't think it's getting much above 25. Gamma Max 2450. Some of the Gamma fell off on Friday, about 6 million out of a total of 16. So profit taking on the zero DTE play. Looks like some Delta still picking up. Yeah. I mean, if buying out of the money continues, then it might have a tiny bit more room. Maybe like 2650, 2650, right around there. But not a lot more room. I think there's still a tiny bit of pressure, but the problem with GME is that pressure can disappear really fast. Even if GME got over 25, RC would just dilute again. Yeah, probably. I doubt he'll do that again soon. Why? Company's worth like $15, it's trading at 25, dilute it. Just keep doing that. I do still have Riley calls. The reason behind them is a bit odd, but Riley is supposed to make a massive payment on their debt due to some brands they sold off, um, and trim some of their exposure to that company they bought that went bankrupt, or merged with that went bankrupt. So I think if they're able to pay down a substantial portion of that debt, they'll probably get a bump in their ratings, and they might be able to open up some credit facilities, and they'll have a little bit of extra cash to turn towards growth. If that process goes smoothly, I expect that there's a huge short position on Riley that could get pulled off. So I mean, it's a bit of a gamble, but it's a really cheap one with like a really decent payout, if I'm right. But I think they're supposed to trim their total debt, like their total exposure to that bankruptcy down to like 125 million from it's like 270. GME saying like 10-year Treasury ETF. Technically, way worse. Hold on. All right. Is that working? Is that, oh, okay. Yeah. Because, well, my 6,000 P prints super hard. It should have been $5 in the money at close on Friday. Hmm? Alright, let me see what Dork and JFresh are up to, because I'm losing my voice. What's up, Dork?
What's up? Oh, shoot.
I have Jan Leaps with Jan 25.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Woo! Sorry, my microphone was plugged into the other computer. How you doing?
Oh, hanging in there.
Yeah, hanging on by a thread.
Yeah, but yeah, fucking voice is starting to crap out on me. Hold
I
on.
gotcha. Oh, well, am I live for you guys? Can you guys hear me? You Sunday stream fanatics? Nice. Happy Sunday, everybody. Happy, I don't know. It's not really any sort of. I think, isn't there a. Wait, there's a holiday on Monday, isn't there?
Yeah, is the market open tomorrow?
Isn't it?
It's like
What is
Veterans
it?
Day.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
it
the
is.
markets are going to be closed tomorrow.
Really? What the fuck am I doing this stream for?
I don't know. Gilgamesh asked a really important question. What is the purpose of life? Well, if you think about, kind of what we're wired for, it's to make babies and then die.
I don't know. NYSE and NASDAQ are open tomorrow. That's what I thought.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the bond market's closed. Bond market will be closed tomorrow.
Nice. So we're going to rip like 80 basis points.
You know it.
Fucking A.
Oh,
I posted a chart.
and no settlement from Friday's close.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we're ripping, dude. I posted a chart.
Well, that's
Just
cool.
pre-post. It's yield curve pre-post election.
Oh,
So, yeah.
hold on, I'll pull it up. you can talk to people about it, so I don't have to use my voice.
I mean, it's not really like that crazy interesting, which is interesting in itself, right? There's that big shock in the treasury market after like right after the election. Then it mostly recovered. So we're looking at long end slightly down, and then short end slightly up, and then the Fed obviously cut 50 basis points. So that's like the very beginning of the
25.
curve, or 25. Sorry, that's the beginning of the curve. So
Yeah.
it's not really like that exciting, but you could also like let me zoom this thing out a bit, and then I can show. I don't have it open anymore. Anyways, we're still kind of in this weird space where we really want to bear steepen, but Poopy is the ultimate bond bull,
Yeah.
so he's gonna say that this trend that we're seeing right now is going to continue. I have another chart that sort of begs to differ. Let me bust this one out now.
Is this just all about you and Poopy's bets? I want you to know that Poopy's entire take of the US bond market generally revolves around what he learned in his like CFA class that week.
Well, it's also revolves around him, having customers continuously as well.
Yeah. So it's biased. It's inherently biased because
Of course it is. He's not going to deny that either.
yeah. He
But
needs he needs real rates not to hit 7%.
so I put another chart in there. This is like a lookout kind of on the yield curve. It is the yield curve pretty much. Just what I do for this is I'm looking at the yield to maturity difference between sticking your money in like basically running a gas station versus buying treasuries. Try to look at the relative cost of them. But what this sort of is indicating is that, kind of like we said, right? Once the Fed starts cutting rates, yields are going to go up. So we're still seeing that trend on the long end. If you look at the bottom of these squiggles, right? That's your like belly of the curve, and then like the purple and blue guys are your long end. But you're seeing this trend upwards, right? And the only way this really is going to reverse is if there's some sort of huge flood of demand into long-term treasuries, which for some reason I doubt will really materialize, but it could.
There's a flood of short interest in the long-term treasuries.
I know. But there's a world where this normalizes, but like this generally tends to not want to reverse. But what really is left, in this question is just kind of, will the short end get cut below the long end? I guess there's a chance of that happening, right? If the belly stays where it is, then we could. But we really would want to, in the long term, stay below that green line, which is the compounded annualized growth rate of the CPI. So we want to stay
Which
below
green
that
line?
line, the flat one at the very top.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we generally want to stay below that if we do want to be in a quote unquote restrictive territory, where buying your gas station stuff with cash is better than buying it with short term debt.
Mm.
But I don't think that's going to happen. I think at some point we're going to get above that again, and we're going to get in another debt fueled growth cycle. That's going to be fine. We'll get another round of some QE at some point. It's going to have a weird flavor to it, I have a feeling. We're not just going to go straight QE unless there's a crisis, but, probably in the form of more federal spending, tax cuts, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, that'd be great.
Tax cuts that price up consumer goods are going to be a bit different.
It is. It's really interesting when you think about it, right? Because consumer gets a tax cut, but TVs go up in price by 40%.
Yep.
Any sort of consumer electronic, like any of them, they're going up by 40%.
Yeah.
Like because we do not make a lot of we don't make LED screens.
Nope.
We don't make any of that shit here in America. I'm sure there's some companies that assemble things in America, but that definitely doesn't mean they're building them here out of the raw components.
Nope. None of the raw components are coming from here.
Yep, that's pretty much it, except for some steel, but like that's for like cars and shit. So,
Yeah.
um, so yeah,
Yeah, I
the
actually
consumer
I
electronics
don't
do
think
go up a
cars
bunch.
will get hit by very hard by tariffs at all. Most of the
They
auto
could.
industry is already kind of insulated. A little bit, yeah, but not broadly. I mean,
It depends on what the tariff claim
well,
really is.
unless he gets rid of NAFTA, which will be hard to
He
do.
hasn't he been super critical of that, like a whole bunch.
I don't know. Well,
I think
last
he is
time,
really critical of it. He's been critical of NAFTA, critical of NATO. So it wouldn't surprise me if he does start backpedaling on on NAFTA and deciding that you know. And that's the thing. He wants to basically make income tax zero for everybody, and then just tariff those taxes back, right, to make up for it,
mhm.
which is almost like a general consumption tax on the public. Um, but it's really like a flat tax in a way.
Yeah,
So we're probably going to see more of a K-shaped recovery because of it. Um, what that means for the bond market is that the risk profile of debt is going to stay pretty wide. Uh, and yeah, that's uh, that's my feelings on that. In terms of economic impacts of a Trump presidency, that's kind of the biggest one I see is the whole tariffs and no income tax thing. And for most Americans, like what that means is that they'll probably put off buying any sort of like expensive electronic or durable good for longer.
yeah.
Uh, but so we'll see inflation and that stuff, but it'll also put a little bit of a damp on GDP. But in terms of corporate earnings, I mean, every stock that is high priced right now is a software as a service type company. So um, I don't think earnings are necessarily going to be heavily impacted by that unless capex spend goes up a lot
I don't.
because these companies still need to import, right?
Yeah, well, not only do they need to import, but it depends on if there's any tariffs on labor, like foreign labor, offshore labor. That would be
Yeah, yeah.
that would be massively impactful to their bottom line.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. What does AI stand for? An Indian?
Yeah,
Yeah.
all of those people in Indian call centers right now getting paid 10 cents an hour to sift through images for Chat GPT. Um, that, if they're forced to move that labor to the U.S., the cost would be tremendous.
Yeah. Well, plus, I mean, they're running out of things to classify. They've got the entire internet. And what's funny is that the improvements to the large language models and stuff, like, they're
Fall off
really
a
starting to
cliff.
diminish.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's going to be flat. So that's going to be great
it's
when everyone's
amazing.
just getting the same shit.
Three iterations later, and it's already a dead technology.
Well, you can get an AI Gert that is 10% better for 4 times the cost. Okay.
What's up, Poopy? Oh, speaking of which, Poopy wanted to short LMT this week.
Oh, did he?
He did, yeah. So I thought maybe we should take a look at that and see if it's worth longing. Now they do have a dividend coming up on December 2nd.
Yeah, that's a great opportunity for a buy after the dividend.
They have a shitload of upside room available and are currently on a bounce. Looks like price action tops out around like 607, 610. And there's a fuck ton of out of the money calls and a decent amount of out of the money delta, and not only in the long term, although there's a bit of resistance 75.80 in the near term that kind of
If it
falls
weren't
off. out
if
into
it
next
weren't
year.
for if they weren't for other people listening, I would just act super bearish on it so Poopy gets the short and then loses money. But
Yeah. Except, much like all of Poopy's intended shorts, this looks bullish as fuck.
yeah, it looks like it
Um,
bounced above DN. This thing is, yeah, it's going to move up again.
yeah. Imagine being a Republican, which Poopy is, and then shorting a defense contractor into a Republican presidency.
Right. Well, okay, so he must think that Trump would actually be able to reduce geopolitical tensions,
Mm,
which
that doesn't sound
which
very Trump.
no. So what's gonna so if Trump does enact a lot of isolationist policies, like in terms of our military stuff,
Uh-huh.
what's gonna happen is it's gonna create a bit of a power vacuum in developing nations.
Yeah.
And that's going to cause a lot of he's going to have a lot of pressure on him to try to exert America's influence and democracy and freedom and JDAMs.
If
Uh,
by if by reducing our military footprint, you mean going to war with Russia against Ukraine, then I would maybe agree with you.
I hope that doesn't happen.
Sounds like something he would do.
Well, he can't declare war.
Well,
He's the president.
it's getting harder. Well, he can declare police actions, and then he's also probably got the House. Anyway, I
I
mean,
don't think
it's
the House is going to go along with him.
I think it's getting harder and harder for him to make Putin come, and so he doesn't have a lot of tricks left up his sleeve.
I don't know. I don't necessarily think he wants to go to war with Russia.
Oh, YouTube didn't like me saying Putin and come in the same sentence, and they disconnected me.
Nice.
Oh, it's reconnected.
Oh, thank goodness.
I'm gonna come.
So yeah, I guess I see the bear thesis on Lockheed, but like at the same time, no. They're not they're a defense contractor in a country with the most defense spending in the entire world by a large margin.
Yep.
So shorting that is like that's it's just a little silly. It's got two Gamma Maxes, nice.
Yeah.
We've had one, yes, but what about second Gamma Max?
Yeah, the second Gamma Max is what I'm curious about. How long
Oh,
till
dude.
LMT 700?
Dude, yeah, no, it looks like wait, so where's the volume coming in? Is there if volume comes in at the 650 and the 660, dude, this thing could fucking just rip.
Let's see. Looks like shitloads of short puts, like below 54.75. Out of the money shit, 600.
Oh,
Ooh,
dude.
what's this?
Oh, dude.
600, more 600 open interest a few days ago. Let's go
Oh, look
back.
at
Yeah.
that. People are a little bullish on war.
Very bullish on war. Stop making excuses, Poopy. It looked like FSLR. Why do you want to instinctively short things that look like that? Yeah,
Look,
it
Poopy.
looks like there's delta at 600, but not a lot of delta further out yet.
So Poopy, just you say we've been calling for a
Ooh.
crash for 3 years, and I just refute him really quick. You know what I've been calling for a while, Poopy, was Volmageddon 2.0. All right, we had a slightly weaker jobs report, and then VIX went to fucking a million. It went undefined. Okay, that was our Volmageddon 2.0. Okay,
That
the
was more
only
like
the only
Volmageddon 1.5.
that's true.
Now
But
we're
that's
now we're setting up for Volmageddon 2.0.
Yeah, so that's what I'm calling for, Poopy. It ended up not being a crash, but that's just because the bond market was okay.
Dork
But
is moving some goalposts, but I'm here for it.
no, but the main thing I've been calling for is a stagflationary debt crisis.
Which we are hurtling towards.
Yeah, that's still the proper setup, Poopy. Whoa, 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 whoa. It wasn't first currency spiral, it was currency spiral and vol event and crash. All three of those things are gonna happen.
Well, we had a
I
bit of
wasn't I'm not
we
I'm
had a
not
tiny currency spiral. Let's remind the audience that Japan hiked rates by 0.15 and then VIX went undefined. Japan still has another 1.75% to go.
Yeah.
And we'll have another child before we crash, and she's not preggers yet. I have a feeling Yellen is going to do quite a lot of work over the next 3 months to ensure that Trump gets handed a crash.
No, Poopy's just the thing is he's being obscenely bullish. He's full on Don Duck now. He might
Interesting.
be right, but I don't think his sperm count is that healthy.
He's getting older. The
He
risk of
is.
him having an autistic child like us is greatly increasing.
That's true. Yeah, we should start
Oh,
getting some
that's why he's trying
contracts
to
written
have
up for
another
him.
kid. He needs someone to trade options for him.
Well, no, that's we got to start. Got to start writing up the contract so we can hire his kid and get
Ooh,
his kid under strict NDAs so his kid can't help him at all.
smart.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, LMT looks pretty bullish
It
over the
does.
like
It
medium
does.
term.
Look at the Vega above
Oh yeah,
600. Ooh. If it breaks 600, it's gonna go for that second gamma max.
yeah it is. Yeah, I'm going to be keeping an eye on it for sure. That looks interesting, actually. Nice call out, Poopy. I love that you were bearish on it when you called it out.
Yeah, same.
That's cool. What's the charm
There's no
look like
better way
right
to have you look at an options chain than saying I might short it.
now?
It's true. But hold on. You asked earlier about Dork's spitefulness, and that's because he's been hanging out with me too much. Oh no, inverse poopy is not a quant qualification.
Yeah, I don't his you know what? His insight into the insurance markets is pretty cool. It was helpful for like, a couple months. And then we just bought shares in fucking Corbridge and then that was the end of it.
That was awesome.
But he hasn't fucking been squeezing out epic plays in the insurance market at all. So you know what?
He's
Like,
just somehow constantly both long and short IWM.
well, he's like a FinTwit in IWM. He seems to print every single trade he does on it.
Mm-hmm. Regardless of the reversals.
Right.
Yep. That's interesting.
Like, I wonder if he was short IWM heading
That's
into
because
the
I am
election
long and
results.
short always on IWM. He's just built his own 60/40 fund on IWM.
uh, what's the risk-free rate on IWM? I wonder.
Being in a trade and having Drake enter it on the opposite side is the Simpsons meme. I'm in danger. What's the time frame for LMT? I don't know.
I mean, I would guess
even
like
even
six
like
months.
even like this OPEX is super bullish. No, this is 2024, dork. Nothing
I saw a bunch of
happens.
interest at 2025.
Nothing happens over 6 months. Yeah, but it's all Jan. It's all Jan 25.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
which is not that far away. Those are like not even 90 DTE contracts.
No, they're like 240s or something.
What about GEO and all these government contracts at the border? I think GEO's actually like just bullshit hype. Um, they backed out of a bunch of their prison exposure in order to get exposure to. They've been building out like ankle monitoring services for home like house arrest ankle monitoring device services, and that's how they've been trying to like improve their bottom line. So the gains on this probably aren't going to last because they have less exposure to like prison real estate than they did previously.
Yeah, and you don't need ankle monitors for illegal immigrants,
Yeah,
when they're getting mass deported. So
that's true. BA worth a shot right now? God, they're such a piece of shit company.
they are, but they're a defense contractor.
They are. They are. We could take a look. I'm surprised they're lagging so hard. Oh,
And they're
that
still trying to
looks.
dig out of the strike hole, aren't they?
Yeah, well, the strike's like over now, though.
Yeah.
Um, it looks like the chain's getting a bit more bullish. Lots of out of the money call interest. Not a lot of put selling, though, I would say. Maybe not enough put selling yet. Hmm.
When's their next earnings?
Jan.
Yeah.
They just missed hard. Negative $10 EPS.
Yikes.
But despite that, yeah, kind of does look okay. Might want to confirm a breakout, though.
That was kind of what I was thinking, is either confirm breakout or wait till after earnings.
Yeah, Dork. I don't know where you've been for the last 2 years, but if this is going up, it's going to be like 6 days.
That's why I qualified it with confirm a breakout or wait till after earnings.
Okay, fine.
Look, I'm just of the mindset that anybody who is in the quote unquote Trump trade is just selling calls.
Yeah, that's true.
Some of them might get squeezed out. That'd be fun, but I mean, that's the trade you're entering, though. That's what I'm thinking. Is the cost to carry is going to be not small.
I went DGen and Ethereum and China and my 401k. For trading, though, Delta neutral's the way. A lot easier to trade without bias if you ignore Dork, though.
Not wrong, Poopy.
Dork would trade more if he wasn't caught in decision paralysis all the time.
I would trade more if I wasn't dirt fucking poor.
Yeah. Well, your dirt poorness is what causes your decision paralysis.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, do I want to enter this trade with half of my fucking working capital right now? It's like, no, I really don't. You got me STD, cool. Just wire 50 grand to me. I'll send you the details.
No, you won't.
If he buys my mug,
That's not a lot. He
I
can
can
buy.
trade.
He can buy your mug, but you can't trade for him.
no, it would be a gift, right?
Yeah. Okay. As long as we've established those rules.
Yeah.
Does Reddit have more upside? Not really.
Probably. It's a fucking meme stock.
Yeah, it is. But Gamma Max is staying pretty pinned down at like 83. And I know there's second Gamma Max at like 135, which it's touching now. And in the overnight session, it moved up a little bit more. It looks like Delta and Gamma both fell off on Friday. I've been selling the like 125 and 130 calls for like a month, 45 days out. Um, yeah, I mean the upside moves are getting a little weaker progressively. Um, we'll probably start to see short vol coming on the chain a lot harder.
Is that an ascending wedge?
Yeah,
That's a huge ascending wedge.
it's only over 3 days, 4 days.
It looks like it almost. Oh yeah, you're right. The upper resistance doesn't extend out to October.
Uh, um, hmm. Yeah, it looks like they're starting to sell the 150 strike pretty heavily. I need to look at the vol on this. Implied vol is still coming down on like the 30-day. On the 10, not so much out on the 60 yet. But the IV30 and IV10 are both falling. So at least short vol's trying to get another foothold on it right now. It'll probably take a few days for it to strengthen. But yeah, I mean, I'll keep an eye on it. It doesn't really have much more upside room anymore. I would say at most we're going to see it get to like 42, which still gives me like 20 days for it to fall back below 25.
And you'll see how long the Wall Street bets hype machine on it keeps it afloat.
Probably not long, right? Those people are just going to get robbed.
They usually do.
Institutions can do this, but not retail's not doing that shit.
If enough retail is there, it can. But
Maybe on the weekly contracts.
yeah,
Although the massive pump after close on Friday would indicate probably not retail.
yeah.
Short Baba? Whoa. I typed ABBA. Is there anything left to short? Yeah, I guess you could.
I'm surprised Baba didn't drop more on
Baba's
Trump winning.
Baba's got like a little bit of support here. But then next stop would be like 85, and then just nothing below that. That doesn't look like a terrible short. Vol and realized vol are both falling. Looks like it's got a pretty good path down to like 80, 85, 82, right around there.
It looks better on the sell side, in my opinion.
Like the call side?
Yeah,
Maybe.
like short dated bear call. If you were to try to squeeze a little bit of juice out of that turnip, it would be with bear call.
Because of the falling vol? I don't know. I mean, it's got enough range that you could just get a put.
You think so?
But back to 82 is quite the drop. It's like $12.
Think they're gonna do that before earnings?
You think anybody cares how much money they make?
Gotta be there, Girk.
I mean, nobody's given a shit how much money Baba's made for the last 3 years. I don't think they're gonna start caring now.
So
Yeah,
Jack
yeah.
Ma is the Ryan Cohen of China.
Baba doesn't look terrible to the downside. No, Ryan Cohen owns Baba. That's all you need to know about speculating on Baba. That's one of his
So I should buy
stocks.
puts.
I mean, you do it. You do it. You sell the call that makes you feel good, Dork.
Do $1 bear call spreads, $10 out of the money. Make like 6 cents on them and pocket.
Yeah, so well, leverage is cranking up in the market, which generally means that like over short meme stocks get some momentum going. Depending on which ones, but yeah, generally as leverage expands, you start to see them pop. We've already seen what, Upstart ran pretty hard. GME got a little bit of a run. Root and Carvana are mooning.
Oh, Carvana. The stock I want to short so bad, but I'm not going to short.
We can't short it till the second half of 2025.
Do you think so?
Well, I mean, it could technically fall before then, but that's when their payment in kind stops and they stop reappropriating their cash flows and lying to the investors.
Oh, I see.
And then,
So maybe like 90 days
I'm
before
sorry,
2H?
misappropriating cash flows.
Right. Yeah, I think 90 days before 2H, then would probably be a good time.
Yeah.
For some like long dated shit, yeah, I'd fuck with it, potentially.
BTC
'Cause you're gonna
top
get
is going to be November 17th on my birthday.
Wait, today's your birthday, Girk? Happy birthday!
No, November 17th.
Happy birthday, Girk, it's your birthday.
It's not my birthday today.
Sorry. I had to.
Dune Prophecies is released. I don't know what that is.
Yes, I got chat saying happy birthday, Girk.
Fuck you. Fuck you, you son of a bitch. It's Dork's birthday. Don't listen to him.
Whoa. It might be. I will neither confirm nor deny that today is my birthday.
Every BTC top is in time with the new release of the Dune movies. Huh. Weird.
You should post that on Wall Street Bets.
Yeah, you should. You imagine all the karma.
Oh yeah,
Nothing like giving away alpha for karma.
exactly.
That's the best pair trade.
It truly is.
Karma turned into Reddit stock for some. It did. Some of those people also sold that stock very quickly.
What is Bitcoin doing? Just mooning?
At half the current price. Yeah, mooning. Oh, maybe DFE is long Reddit.
Maybe.
Can you go over a cool pair trade? No. I don't have. Do you think I just have a pair trade ready to go for you? What do you feel about short crude, long crack? Long BTC, short MSTR.
Or long JGB, short Fixie?
Ew.
Or no, long Fixie.
Long Fixie. That's
Sorry, I
what
got my
Sailor does. Yeah. What about short yuan, long dollar?
Ooh,
That sounds like a good one.
actually does sound like a decent pair trade.
Long yen,
What?
short Nikkei. Not yet, but we're getting back to the point where I'm about to do that again. God, that felt good just for that like one night. Having the positions I've been holding for like 2.5 years, 20x. That was a good feeling. I would like to repeat it.
Hmm. What about long TQQQ, short, or no, long TQQQ, short, long SQQQ, and just lose money?
Just doubling down on volatility decay.
Exactly. At best, you make 0%. At worst, you lose money.
Jesus Christ. I can't with you today. I'm too sick. I don't need to be.
I'm sorry, Greg. I had to bring up an awful pair trade.
Why is your awful pair trade long vol decay though?
I don't know. It was the dumbest thing I could think of at the time, Greg. All right, it was off the cuff. I cut me some slack here.
Alright, alright.
I mean, you could do long QQQ, short Nvidia.
What about long TLT, long IWM?
Ooh, now
That's
that is that maybe long IEF instead of TLT because you want to get the shorter duration exposure.
mm, that'd be a fun way to play the breaking of the buck.
Yeah, but yeah, but you'd have to just straight up just like buy shares in both. You wouldn't be able to.
There's a timeline where Dork owns a bunch of UVXY, and I want to travel there. It was called 2021.
That's
You,
actually not far from the truth.
you were there. You just didn't know it.
Yeah.
Short solar, long oil. How about long carbon capture credits?
So long SLB.
Tesla?
I think SLB.
All right, SLB. What about,
SLB is a little
well,
safer. They do carbon capture and they will.
Halliburton?
Ooh, you could do long SLB short Hal.
Long
That would
SLB,
be
short Hal?
yeah.
I will fucking. I'm gonna burn your yurt down. I'm actually long both. They're the same company.
Exactly. That's why it's a pair trade.
I'd
It's not gonna do anything besides
rather
lose
long
money.
Hal, short crude. Yeah. I mean, it's not like Trump's gonna refill the SPR at $70 a barrel.
Or at all.
Or, yeah, or at all.
Yeah, no, I think we've established that the SPR, its only job now is to make oil go down.
I think here's my proposition for Trump's genius plan of his presidency. He tells OPEC the U.S. will no longer hold an oil reserve in order to get them to dump their oil on the market.
And then he refills it.
No, no. But the next
Uh,
president can refill it.
no, they're not.
Yeah, they're probably not. What if it just never fills back up again?
That's what I'm thinking, is that it's just never going to recover.
So Vance refills it. Yeah, there you go. Didn't the EU say they were getting their nat gas from the US now over Russia? Is there a play there? No.
Long boil.
Long, never. No, that's the Widowmaker. We've talked about this.
Okay, so short boil then?
No. Also not good.
Oh god.
Long freight. It's a really specific part of freight. Oh god, there was a play I had a while back that I never like finished delving into, but there's a company that makes the like multi-billion dollar like liquid LNG tankers. Do you imagine sending one of those through the fucking god damn it.
You know what? What about this, Kirk?
What?
Logistics.
Okay.
I think there's a bull case for logistics in this presidency.
All right.
I think that Trump loves truckers.
Say more.
Trump loves truckers.
Well,
He's
he
gonna get more
likes
truckers.
truck parking lots.
He does.
Yeah. Long love.
Uh,
Just long truck stops,
what's
but not like actual freight or shipping.
that truck stop that's like huge in the Midwest? What's it called? You Midwesters, you're gonna know what it is.
There's
It's
like,
the fucking giant gas stations.
well, there's Loves, there's TA, there's what's the other? I think 76 has like
Bucky's. It's Bucky's. That's what I'm
Bucky's.
thinking of. Yeah.
I
Is
think
there
they're
a way to long Bucky's?
I think they're a private company.
Fuck. Well, let's reach out to them and see if we can get an equity stakeholding in them.
Are there any moving storage companies that are public to go long? U-Haul? So there's U-Haul, and then there's Extra Space, which I don't know if you guys remember, but that was already a thing. Ooh, Extra Space is getting kind of cheap again. Hmm. Not as cheap as it was. You're trying to play everybody moving to blue states? You know that doesn't
People
usually that doesn't usually happen.
Well, you know that home prices are going to keep going up, right?
Yeah, but fewer and fewer people are going to keep buying them.
That's what I mean. Yeah, it's not. The home prices are going to keep going up, and where are mortgage rates at right now again?
Like almost 7%.
Time to move to a blue state where homes are more expensive and at a higher mortgage rate, guys. You know what, though? The thing is that there's enough people in the U.S. that are dumb enough to do that.
Bucky's is Texas, you Northwesterner. Yeah.
Is it Texas? I don't know. I don't go into that middle part of the U.S.
Yeah,
Gross.
or out of the country. Also, people just losing their homes from the recession. Everybody said they were going to leave the country the first time Trump got elected, and nobody left.
Hey,
I
Gert, you
could
want to
see
know how
people
much?
losing their homes, though. That's reasonable. Or renters moving to cheaper properties.
Gert, I'm figuring out how much my home is up.
Are you going to sell it yet?
450 minus 1.
This is
I'm
what
up
this is what you
six
need
and a
to
half
do.
percent.
You need to get a small loan for the value of your house at below rate, like a personal loan, right? Pay like 4% on it. Then you finance the buyer of your home at like 7% and then make the spread.
So
And
if I was
get
able to
the
sell,
equity.
if I was able to sell my home at the maximum estimate range, I'd make 17% on my home in like 8 months. That's insane.
Yeah, do it.
I'm not gonna do it. If I got like the middle of the road, I would be at
just not.
6.5%.
I mean, all I'm hearing is my puts are green. I'm not closing them.
Pretty much.
Yep.
Yeah, no, uh I managed to get pretty close to the bottom of mortgage rates with my fucking
Several of my
5%.
friends are set to within the next 2 weeks. You don't think that's maybe a very small picture though? I mean, I'm not saying that nobody is gonna move. I'm just saying that like the mass migrations that people uh, assume will come out of these events rarely happen.
Nice job, Sir David P. I wish 4 years ago I wasn't hitting the food pantries.
Can't even win in the housing market. He could, but I mean, he won't take profit, so I don't.
I'm using this place to live in.
Oh, whatever. You can live in your car. You're a grown
No, I
man.
can't. I have to work. I work from home.
Mm.
I can't work from car.
Starbucks?
Maybe. So just sell my home and sell all my shit.
I'm going to Blue Island City in a red state, and since the 5th, I've already seen a huge number more U-Hauls and pods here.
That's the Republicans moving in.
Jesus.
I had to.
What state does Dork live in? Like Colorado? You know, it is a lot like Colorado.
It's like Colorado, but not expensive.
Every good Wi-Fi hopper knows the good Wi-Fi is at McDonald's, not Starbucks. All right, whatever. Wherever you want to get your Wi-Fi.
I mean, I would just park in front of people's houses and just crack their Wi-Fi password and then use it. That's how you get the best Wi-Fi. But no, Gert, my productivity for Gamma Strike is going to tank if you make me do this.
To what? 0 times 0 is still 0.
Whoa, 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 whoa. All right, let's calm down here, okay? I do stuff times. Once in a while, I do a thing.
I'm just fucking with you.
I did like a total of 10 keystrokes last week for Gamma Strike, okay?
That's impressive. Was that
They
all?
were very...
Was that all you spamming the "I'm gonna come" meme during the all hands meeting?
Yes, they're very impactful keystrokes, Kirk.
I didn't. Pura Vida. Oh yeah, you could go live with Visceral in Costa Rica.
Oh, that's actually not a bad plan.
Yeah.
I don't hate tropical climates. They're way better for my skin than this dry shit in Nevada.
Yeah, so you sell your house, you get the 80 grand, you use the 80 grand to buy a house in a third world jungle. And then you're actually set for life and you don't have a mortgage and you can work from home.
It's true, yeah. The only mild inconvenience is getting the occasional bot fly, so that's fine.
Yeah, you just tweeze it out of your skull.
Yeah, right.
Crocodiles in the ocean when it rains. Nah, dog. Just don't go in the ocean. It's simple.
What the fuck does it even mean, Poopy?
I don't know.
He's losing it.
It's cracking. It's cracking under the stress.
You know what? The way I see it, these next 4 years, I think I'm set up pretty decently for. So long as fucking Congress actually gets their shit together, then I'll be fine. I'm sorry. I know that was a cruel joke at Janet Yellen's expense.
Oh, it's the funniest shit you've ever said. You know the Democrats are just going to blow up the economy before they hand the government over, right?
Oh yeah,
They're
yeah,
just gonna
yeah. It's
unanimously blow up the economy.
yeah. No, Yellen's going to issue all the all the duration in the world in the next 3 months.
Yep.
It's gonna be fantastic. Well, she has to issue some short duration to make sure that the RRP is also drained as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I can't forget that.
Yeah, and then yeah, that plan will be complete. But that's okay because then Trump's just gonna force Jerome Powell out of office, take unanimous control over interest rates, and cut them to negative 100%, and then can just refinance, courtesy of the government.
Nothing's gonna change. I don't know why people think it would.
Not nothing,
Not nothing. Some things will change. Just
dude.
not.
Poopy. The most direct thing is you're not going to pay income tax, and you're going to be paying tariffs on fucking laptops and shit.
Okay, first of all, that's probably not even gonna happen.
It could. He's got the House and the Senate. He can probably fucking shove something through like that with a little bit of compromise.
It's gonna be hard to get Democrats to agree to get rid of income tax ever. It'd be the only thing he gets shoved through if he does. But I have a feeling it'll just get locked up for 2 years, and then voters will shift, and then it'll be over.
Yeah, that's the one thing I've been saying to people who are going full doomer on this shit. I'm like, if you're really that upset about it, vote in the midterms.
Yeah, yeah.
You can completely neutralize Trump if you vote in the midterms and vote Democrat. Like, if you're that mad.
I mean, let's not forget he's just not a very effective president. Like, he's spiteful and petty and childish and doesn't get things done.
Yeah.
When U.S. debt downgrade? Hmm.
Well, Poopy, the thing is like
I mean, if yields.
I'm not a social doomer. That's the thing. Let's make a distinction here, Poopy. I'm not a social doomer. I am very idealistic when it comes to society. I believe that cooler heads will always prevail. It just takes time. Now,
Yeah,
financially, I think that we're a bunch of fucking morons. We can't stop fucking dumping money out of a helicopter, and that's going to cause us a lot of problems in the long term.
he's a culinary tumor. Fucking Bob.
Okay, Bob, that's it.
Get him.
Let's put you in the corner for a sec. But yeah, no, there's some plays right in the medium term based on what can get through Congress. Um, Trump might be a little better for small businesses in general, which is why you saw IWM go up 8%. But I mean, basically means it's priced in. So
I think everyone's just at max leverage right now, and they're hoping inflation pops.
well, I mean, why does it matter if you're at max leverage?
Well, because you need equities to go up. If you're at max long equities and inflation pops, you make a bunch of money. But if inflation stagnates, you get fucked.
That's
And
true. Yeah, you need asset
then you gotta
appreciation.
buy back into the bonds that you mark to market at a loss. So I think banks are just betting big that inflation's gonna rocket, which probably isn't wrong because we have no padding on the Fed funds rate anymore. Real rates
And the
are
federal government who wants to spend all the money in existence and then
yeah.
some.
Well, real rates are at like 2.18, so you got like an 18-point spread before the Fed literally has no impact. Um, and so if inflation moves up 0.2, so if we get a month over month of what, 0.3, then credit markets are just going to start collapsing.
Yeah.
Well, drying up really, really faster than Yellen at a monetary conference. Soft landing achieved. Yeah, sure. I don't know why Dork's worried about tariffs. He's on a strict dried pork diet from what it looks like on the Discord.
You know, Poopy, that's just survivorship bias, okay? I've made some pretty delicious things, right? That chili was fucking fire, all right? And I made pork stir fry the other night. It was tender and juicy and delicious.
Why are you always eating pork?
Because it's $2 a pound.
Why don't you get chicken?
Because it's 33% more.
Jesus Christ, Dork.
Look, I told you, I'm not like saying I'm some sort of well-to-do person. You know exactly what's going on with me here. I'm cutting corners, bro. All the time.
I understand, but I think you could get some chicken.
I do. I
think
do
you-
get chicken. I have
okay.
some drumsticks.
All right, cool. You can treat yourself, you know. Get lentils.
Well-
He's not that poor. He has a house.
You know, it's actually not a bad idea. You can make some pretty tasty lentils.
God damn it.
Look, I all I'm saying,
I think Dork needs
Is
a
that-
raise. I agree.
I mean, I don't disagree, but getting one now is a lot harder than getting one just a year ago. So
I feel like your one a year ago should have been bigger. We got
I know it probably should have.
beef cheeks for $3.29 a pound here. Oh, now you guys are gonna just start eating the disgusting parts of the animal.
Well, no, Poopy like literally lives like basically in a giant pile of cow dung.
Yeah,
So,
I know. So do you,
Yeah.
actually. Well,
no, I live on my own
you
pork
live
chop.
slightly north of a giant pile of cow dung.
It's true. I don't eat it every fucking day. Jesus Christ, chill out.
I show 2
Look,
hours
I
in
go
the
get-
stream, and the
I get the
tacos
5 for
lentils.
5 from fucking Save Mart, and that's it.
I should show up 2 hours into the stream, the tacos lentils. That's how I know SPX to 6,500 end of week.
Yeah, I mean, SPX, we're just fucking, we're Gamma's just juiced to the tits right now.
It's all the no. There's just all the gamma is at 6,000. It's not really juice to the tits. It's all just at one strike at the money, and there's nothing like really above it. There's not a lot of out of the money juicing, so we're just kind of locked up here at 6,000. I don't think we're gonna go substantially higher without a pullback. We're probably not gonna go substantially lower without inflation going up. Ooh, what if CPI this week is like 0.4 though?
If CPI this week is 0.4, the Fed's going to have a fucking
It's too soon,
Yeah.
right?
crisis of confidence.
I feel like it's too soon
It is.
because it's
Yeah.
only October's CPI, and the Fed only cut in September. So I think we need at least November or December's reading before we start to see inflation getting spicy. But it technically could start getting a little hot here. Dork, I want 1.2% month over month.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think,
You
Jan?
sick fuck.
I know. My state likely supplies Dork a majority of his diet. No one cares what Ohio does, okay, Poopy Pants? Stop trying to talk up the Midwest. You're always doing that. It's disgusting. It's like being nationalistic, but not for the country, just one shitty state. Like you're part of like Ohio's militia.
Right, yeah. Mule Team 6.
I don't live there. Where do you live? Iowa? It's got to be somewhere shitty.
Indiana.
Indiana, Illinois. We've definitely named the state. He probably lives in Iowa. He strikes me as an Iowa person. Only Iowa people talk about the Midwest like it's great. It's because they can't escape. Everything else is too far away.
Right.
I'm blushing. What are you gonna sell? The Jan contracts? On what? He's not Canadian.
No, if he was Canadian, he'd be miserable.
Yeah. Canadians aren't ever that happy.
They're just extremely polite about it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, it's
Well,
fine, you know. I haven't bought a house ever, and I'm probably never going to afford one, but, you know, it's okay.
apologetic.
Yeah.
It's more, yeah.
Oh,
I heard
sorry
the
for
whole
applying
thing,
for the
right?
mortgage.
All right, Dark, you're only allowed to speak in a Canadian accent from now on.
uh, I don't have too many good Canadian quips. I only have a couple.
Well, Bulgurk won, but he wasn't nearly bullish enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are we projecting for this week since Jay Fresh once again isn't joining us?
Yeah, what the hell's his deal?
I don't know.
It's like he has a family or something.
It's fucking like responsibilities or something.
Yeah, what a loser.
Yeah, I agree. Imagine we talked about Bitcoin and AI and he still hasn't shown up.
I know, right?
There's just no dragging him back in, I think. Maybe his wife's not letting him do it anymore. She's like,
Right,
you
like
better not be mentally masturbating with those two dipshits on YouTube again. He's like, but honey, just like one more time.
yeah, he needs to get the sex recliner in action for a little bit, get the brownie points back, and then he'll be back on. Well, of course he's tweeting Pickle Dick. That's all he does these days. Like I imagine he just does like when he like teaches us classes, he just has them do like a pop quiz that takes them the entire class and he just tweets. Are you making your projection right now?
I'm trying to. Yeah.
Hmm. When's the next auction? That's what I want to know. Consumer inflation expectations on Tuesday. Fed speeches. CPI on Wednesday. All right, I'm ready for my prediction.
I'm not.
Okay, let me know when you're ready for mine.
All right, hold on. All right. Go ahead.
Flat to Wednesday. And then let me know when you're ready for the next data point. It's just 2 data points this week.
Okay.
I'm doing a simple one. Okay, so flat till Wednesday open, and then 62.50 end of week.
62.50?
Yep. Let's fucking go.
It's not even mechanically possible.
No, it is not. You're absolutely correct. I
Well,
think that JFresh's chart is correct. We got to get that last little bit, of leverage in there.
yeah, I think that
There's
last little
still,
bit of leverage is burned off at about 60.48.
I think you're probably right, but at the same time, let's see it. Let's squeeze some whatever's up there.
I like your extremely hyperbolic prediction.
It's great. Maybe we just make JFresh's the mirror opposite of that.
It's too close to mine.
No, have them close at like 56.50. Right, flat to Wednesday, then close 56.50.
I'm just giving JFresh Bulgurk. Which is this. Wait. There. JFresh just gets Bulgurk again.
Yeah, see, we gotta let him know what he's missing out on here. He's not able to make his predictions, and so we just give him one.
Yeah.
He's gonna
Although
end up winning
we
on it,
did we
and then
did give him the
it's
best
out.
one last week.
Wasn't he here last week?
No.
Oh, that son of a bitch.
Yeah. This is like of the last 16 weeks, he's bailed on us like 12 times.
Dude, what the hell, JFresh? Get your shit together.
He's like, I'm gonna check Twitter and see if he's shit posting right now. Hmm, 14 hours ago. Oh, wait, hold on. He liked my comment and replied an hour ago. He said, people are fervishly bullish, but mostly all in. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Mostly. So 62.50 end of week.
All right. Well, there we go. There's the projections for this week. One moderately serious and dorks.
I'm sorry. I can make it more reasonable.
No, it's fine.
I could do like 6,100. That's way more reasonable.
But
I think people are gonna juice in because, whatever. Ball's gonna keep going down until it's at 10.
Vega neutral is $10 out of the money, dork.
So
We're not going that high above SPX Vega neutral.
if we get CPI that's at like 0.1, I think GM's gonna move up. I think VN's gonna move up.
Not without us pulling back. So then you're saying we pull back into CPI. CPI prints soft, and then we move up to the collar.
Yep, pretty much.
But that's not what you put here.
No, I said blow it out.
No.
So, but whatever.
We'll need a new Greek if dork happens. Gamma plaid. Well played.
Yeah, no, I feel like it's just kind of silly to try to make a decent prediction about price action the week after an election when volatility is still crushing, but at the same time we have a CPI print.
If that CPI is even remotely warm, yields at the top of the curve are going to move up hard.
Yeah.
Really hard. Have we gone above monthly VN before? Intraday once. I don't think we've ever closed above monthly VN.
Well, just to recap too, like VN, right? So SPX primarily right now, the trade is short puts, right? Short volatility to the downside and a little bit to the upside. Big and neutral is where the market maker, as you increase those positions, starts to actually shed their volatility hedge.
Yeah.
So,
Well, they're long vol hedge.
right, yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I mean. Yeah,
They go longer and longer, progressively longer and longer puts.
yeah. They no longer act like a damping factor on volatility.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be fun. Oh, Girk, we need to. I told I gotta bother you. We got to start coming up with some help docs for our beta testers.
Why me? What do I have to do with that?
You're the boss. Tell someone to do it. Tell JFresh to do it.
Go do it.
No.
Yeah, you know what it means. I mean, here's the thing. You fully explained what the meatball does, and then Yaga's like, "Nope. I need to know more." So, I mean, it's not that complex.
It's really it is extremely simple, but the underlying stuff, like he just wants to know exactly how it's made.
Yeah, but we're
which-
never going to tell him that. So what the fuck's the point?
I mean, we could.
It's like
The thing is what
one
I want
out
is
of
pretty pictures.
one of out of like every 2,000 people that just want to know the source code.
Yeah, but I think pretty pictures would help, right? Like how do we determine, right, whether something's a bearish breakout or whatever? We could make pretty pictures that explain that.
I'm not even sure if it's calibrated right to determine that yet accurately.
It's not. We need to fuck with. That's why I was hoping for. That's what our primary hope with the feedback was, to just see if people thought that, and like they would look at the stock and see the indication on it and be like, "Yep, that's exactly what I'm thinking as well when I look at these candlesticks." But and then we got criticize. So. But we really should go over some help docs for things like the neutrals and stuff, because even after years of explaining it, it's fine. And new customers aren't gonna, they're gonna be like, what the fuck's a neutral?
They have the PDFs.
The PDFs are okay, but
They're more than sufficient.
they do provide a decent explanation. But I think going a little deeper on them.
Nope.
Yep.
Disagree. Nope.
Just a little bit.
Nuh-uh.
Just a little bit, Gert.
Mm-mm.
Just the tip.
Nope.
Just the tip.
No.
Just the tips and
no
tricks.
means no, dork.
Look, all right, your body, my choice. Oh wait, no, don't find my address, people. I didn't mean it. I'm sorry. That was a joke.
I know.
I'm saying it for the viewers so they don't fucking dig me out of a trench.
We matter. We should just be given the secrets. We matter. That's wrong.
No, I don't. It's a fine balance, but I do think we could provide a little more clarity. We'll discuss it, and I don't want to fucking just take all our source code and dump it on the internet, obviously. But
yeah, which is specifically what they want. Yaga spent like the better part of 2 years trying to unravel our tips to no avail, because
we have also spent the last 2 years trying to unravel our tips, but in a different meaning.
Yeah, fair enough.
I get it on some level, right? There's going to be people wanting to know the derivation, and at some point, right? I don't know. We'll figure it out.
What?
But we should at least do like a little like some videos on us using the information and like explaining why things are bullish or not.
That's fair. Yeah, I don't mind that.
Yeah, that'll probably be more than sufficient for vast majority of people. And if someone wants our source code, then
I mean, the meatball is just supposed to be stocks that are positioned either neutrally or at extremes of their options positioning. That's what we're looking at.
Yeah, and we're
And
combining with
so
traditional technical analysis. It's not that complicated.
yeah, and so basically it's just like, hey, this stock's kind of bottomed in its options chain, or this stock's, ran up to the top of its options chain. And so, it's pretty obvious what opportunities they present. It's really not much more complicated than that. It's just simply a way of filtering the insane amount of data that we are providing people, so that they can find some stuff to look into that may be, at extremes or neutrally positioned.
Yeah. We're basically just drawing lines and saying, yeah, it was going down, now it's going up. Oh, it was going up, now it's going down. And then we check it, and then what we do is a quick cursory glance essentially at, how it's positioned relative to the options chain. And
Oh, look
that's
at
pretty
this.
much it.
STD slot machines got all kinds of praise. It's like, it's great to get a quick hint at, hey, look at this stock and see if it matches what the scanner picked up. I like it a lot. One of the few scanners I like. It just gives good leads. See? So this person's having the perfect experience with it without knowing mathematically how it's calculated.
It's
Shocker.
it, it's well, but it's also like how it's mathematically calculated is not that important.
It's not at all.
It's really not. We're literally just going. Was it going up and now it's going down? How big of a move was that? Right?
Yeah.
It's it. Like it's you can go crazy and make a million different fucking derivations of that.
It's
That do
slightly
pretty much
better
the
than
same thing.
options Bollinger Bands, but that's the general gist of it.
It's basically doing a little bit of TA, and then looking at the options. It's doing what you would do normally, but just doing it for you to a very rough degree.
And doing it
So
on the options and less so on the price.
right, yeah, that's the extra bit, right? So you're like, oh, it's reversing, and then you look at the options chain. Now this thing's going, oh, it's reversing, and then it looks at the options chain, and then it gives you a number. So I feel like
It's
I feel like Yaga especially is overthinking what it's doing, right?
it's
Because
not
because tips is so complicated.
it's not meant to trade off of. No, it's not. It's just to like highlight stocks that might have interesting opportunities present. And really specifically not meant to trade off of, because there's a lot of different opportunities present at those extremes in the options chain. And highlighting any one of them isn't necessarily highlighting the best one of them, and so it's much better to leave it as open to interpretation as possible rather than trying to narrow it down into a perfect signal. I talked about this like a little bit last week. When you're building models, financial models, you have a choice between accuracy and robustness. And robust models are inherently more inaccurate, and accurate models are inherently less robust. So, in this instance, it benefits to have a robust model that is not highly accurate, because it allows you to find things that are doing stuff, and then you can decide what to do against them, despite, or you could have something that specifically finds one thing that could be beneficial but has a very high failure rate.
Poopy, just so you know, we don't make any assumptions on bought or sold for the chain necessarily. I mean, we kind of do, but like, we just assume that everyone's fucking selling puts and buying calls. So
Yeah, all of the values in Gamma Strike are the naive assumption,
yeah, it's not. We're not doing anything crazy fancy like
which is
for default
which is the
especially.
most accurate assumption when above gamma neutral.
Yeah,
But it
it's well,
also
it,
it
it
also
normal
tells you
too.
when it's below gamma neutral, and that assumption falls apart.
Yeah, no, exactly. There's really not like the fanciest thing. I guess the skew adjusted exposures, but even those are doing just some very rough like napkin math essentially to figure out, what it's not even bought or sold necessarily, it's purely pricing. So like we're not really like we're not trying to assume bought and sold for the data we're providing. We're providing a model, like Girk said, that is highly robust. and it tells you when things are doing stuff, right? And that's why I like stocks that it is possible to go over gamma max, because we don't know the actual market maker book. That's impossible to know.
Well, even if
So
you
we
knew
get
the market maker book, prices could still exceed the maximum allotable gamma hedge in the market maker's book. And
they can.
they just have to buy delta. So I mean, I think our representation of the market maker's book is still very accurate. But that book can change, and that's why gamma max gets, when you see individual equities break gamma max, that's because structurally the options market has changed faster than the pace of the market maker's realignment of their hedge.
Yeah, it's
So
yeah, and that's
like Reddit, right? You know, we've talked a lot about Reddit over the last week, and like, you know, GME did a similar thing with the bifurcation of multiple high gamma points, right? Hold on, I can pull this up. So if we look at this, right, this is because essentially out here a new market has been made at a drastically higher level. Now this kind of shit can't happen on SPX, right? Because the enormity of the cost would be uh,
just the size of the market, and it's
yeah,
so
it's
huge.
so deep and huge and liquid that this would probably never happen on Apple.
Like that peak on the left is insane.
Yeah. This was the peak of the old market. And this is the peak of the new market, right? And the MM is slowly catching up to hedge that new market as they hedge off this exposure. Hedge off, hedge on. Ooh, I like that.
Hedge off, hedge on, the hedgers. Yeah, and we're like we said before too, like this, the explanations on the PDFs and the page, like on the web page, are more than sufficient to get you to have a decent cursory understanding of what's happening. But we can go, like, I think that our content group that we should put out, one, it should be focused and not talk about gallium dildos, and two,
Probably.
um, we should primarily focus on, like, okay, like, we should just go through the process, grab something on the meatball, look at its option positioning, and then make an assessment, right? And then just show that process so that people get a better idea of what we're looking at, and kind of explain that assessment, right? So, like, oh, this stock is above gamma neutral, which means the market maker hedge is doing these things, or it's below this neutral, so that means the market maker's position is this, and this is how it's going to change as price moves up or down. And that'll help our beta testers, I think, get that cursory understanding, and then we can also just publish those once we're going
When are you
live.
guys publishing the About Us section on Gamma Strike webpage? I want to read a short bio on Doric.
No, you don't.
No.
You really don't. It's horrible and full of unspeakable acts of depravity. You do not want to have a short bio on me.
Catching up on the stream. Wanted to say thanks to the killer explanations. No problem, Samuel. I've never wanted
Yeah, I know.
anything more Doric.
No, yeah, that's the. I was looking at the feedback, and I caught this general sense of, like, what mean, right? And it's kind of cool, right? But at the same time, it's also kind of not cool. So we should do a better job, Girk, of just, like, I think, just talking more holistically about some of these things, because these values, like the Greek neutrals, are very esoteric, right? So at least at this point, so I think we could do a better job of kind of talking about what they signify.
Are they esoteric to the audience that's been learning about them for 3 years?
Girk, stop casting aspersions of intelligence on our audience, please.
It's fine.
Look, they
You
are.
just want to destroy all of the little bit of faith I have left in humanity, don't you?
See, in my normal job, Girk, I basically do tech support for smart people. All right, and then like they run into some issues where it's like, God, they're so dumb. But I'm like also like, no, they're really just smarter at other things than what I'm smart at. So so they're
Interesting.
they're too busy. They're too busy like replacing starters on cars or
So
something
they're
rather than
like
doing things they're good at.
they're like emotionally intelligent.
They're empaths, yes, exactly. Or they're
Mm.
like they're product managers, right? So they're really good at stealing money and not doing anything. So that's where they spend their mental energy.
As the
And
product manager for this product, um, yeah, okay, we can maybe we can do some videos and go over each neutral. We're gonna need animations though.
ooh, yeah. Time to get Nuke on a replay feature.
No, just take all the values from our database and we'll just plug them into a line on TradingView and then we can use the replay function.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, just make like a CSV or something. Yeah, I forget that they can do that.
Yeah, we could just use the replay function to show how like delta neutral and gamma max and shit like that develop over time and the effect they have in the underlying options market and what they mean. And then people will understand them exactly as much as they did before, but will have worked 2 times harder explaining them.
I don't hate that idea. I would like those. I would like those to exist.
Mm.
And we'll. I mean, I don't know. Is it time to make the Gamma Strike YouTube page?
I think we already might have one. I don't know. I'll look.
I think we do.
Yeah. I could be your
But is it
Rick
time to
Rubin
actually
with the
post on it?
content. No talent, but great taste. Thanks, Rick. Sell bear call spreads above GN. Sell bull puts spreads at GN. What's so hard? Nobody wants to believe it's that easy.
Right. Yeah. No. It's with all trading. Right. Overthinking is a huge enemy to actually just going for it and doing some stuff.
But Girk, it is. Yeah, but it takes a special kind of idiot not to doubt that.
You really do have to kind of shut off your brain a bit and just be like,
Yeah.
this is how this behaves.
Unfortunately true.
I mean, what do you think that actual like portfolio managers do? Literally that.
I sold 60-50 calls for this coming Friday, so I really hope we don't go up hard.
So 6250 end of week guaranteed. Nice job, Girk. Thanks.
I'm your special idiot, and I feel like I'm talking to my mom. We know you are, Poopy. It takes a really specific Midwest gambler mentality to just YOLO on Gamma Max every time we test it.
I mean, just looking at that chart right there, you can kind of see a lot of the patterns.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like I think that's the thing, Girk. I think our assumption was that like, well, the patterns are so obvious for the most part that like people could just figure it out, but I think they spend way too much time overthinking it because some like when you look at individual equities and they do shove up and Gamma Max moves up, you lose confidence in that. But then you
Well,
look at
that's
others
because
and they push
individual
correlations.
equities have illiquid options markets. Well, most of them do. Some of them don't, right? But like outside of the Mag 7 and stuff, individual equity options markets are very, very small. And so they can structurally change rapidly. Indexes don't have that problem. Indexes are very, very liquid and consistent.
Yeah, one way to see this is just look at the decks on like SPX and then look at the decks on like Beyond.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean,
Like
yeah.
it,
You're
like
talking
it's
about
painfully obvious.
the hundreds of billions of dollars in difference.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. That's I mean, you look at the percent difference and then you're like, oh, this market is X percent larger than SPX, or sorry, X percent smaller than SPX. You're like, ah, no wonder the neutrals are slightly volatile, right?
We could just rank all of the stocks like 1 to X.
I mean, we are. Should we talk about it, Girk?
Well, not here, but yeah, I already know ideally how we'll do it. But we could just have like a number one on like, SPX monthly chain and then just go down from there, right? And the further down the list you are, the less relevant the data is to the underlying stock movements.
Yeah, I mean, we are working on some more options macro data.
And then we can have
So
like a
that's
little
pretty
thing
cool.
that like tells you if it's ranked up or ranked down.
Yeah, we can do all kinds of fun stuff. I mean, we're going to be looking at some pretty interesting metrics and getting those out to the beta testers before too long. Hopefully, within the next week, we can start having some of those features out, and they should help like be an aid to the meatball, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So, but it's more. I mean, like it's basically another flavor of the meatball combined with here's just a fucking snapshot of everything as well. Well, it's a snapshot of everything all mushed together into a cannoli.
Cover the assumptions the meatball gives you. Yeah, I mean, that's probably how we're gonna do it. Yeah. Also, like, we're waiting to do all of that stuff until we have all of the things that we're going to be releasing available, right? Because otherwise, we'd be making a lot of videos for stuff that we haven't released yet, and so or there's also things that may not stay here in the live launch just because they're kind of useless.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to. That's what we were trying to figure out with Meatball was like, we can tweak it and stuff, and we probably are going to tweak it a bit. But and that's what I'm thinking, Girk, is if we do tweak it though, like the thing is I want to be able to have a way to explain how we tweak it. So I think we can do some simple graphics on what we're tweaking,
Yeah.
so people can understand that better. But I mean, obviously, not without going into too much detail to where people's eyes are going to fucking glaze over when they read about it. And that's the thing. People want what mean, right? They think they want what mean, but like fully explaining what mean, if you're not super duper duper into it, it's going to be like a college lecture. And everybody knows what happens in a college lecture when the professor starts getting into what mean.
Well, okay, so I mean, the reality of it is we're trying to give you guys something that's mathematically very advanced. If you're not familiar with partial differential equations at a minimum, then the pricing of options in the options market is going to be elusive. I guess you have like binomial and trinomial models that are a little more like lattice and algebra based, but they're really not very accurate. So, the over explaining can make it just more complex for people, like far more complex than it needs to be.
Exactly. Yeah, it's exactly right. Yeah, you don't really need to like get into all that stuff if you understand the general gist of it, right?
Yeah, I mean that's the whole purpose of this, right? Is to give people insight into a market which is, exclusively removed from them by several barriers.
The biggest one is math.
Yeah. And probably the broadest one is math. But even with an understanding of math, you then have to have a deep understanding of how that math is applied in the options market. And we're taking all of that information and we're consolidating it into what are essentially technical signals.
Yeah.
And X technical signal equals Y assumption is what you should be getting out of this.
Yeah.
If you're East Asian, you get +1 to complex math. I mean, it's like I think it's like less than 1.5% of the population has even taken partial differential equations in school. And then what, maybe a quarter of that 1.5% uses them on a daily basis.
Yeah, and it's not complex math. There's no imaginary numbers.
Yeah, that's true.
Sorry,
Yeah, I know
pedantic douche there.
you're being a cunt, but it's okay.
No, it's yeah, that's just to, sort of. It's not necessarily that, like, you know telling the derivation. One, it would be kind of shitty because we assume that other data providers out there are going to latch onto this the moment they realize it's useful, and we'd like to potentially slow them down a bit. But two, you really don't need you don't really need that crazy background and all this shit. We did all that work for you.
Whoa,
It's
whoa, whoa. You're asking illiterate people to understand partial differentials. No, we're not. That's the point, right? Is
we're specifically not.
we're specifically trying to make them not have to understand partial differential equations.
Yeah.
I took advanced
Yeah.
math in college, but I'm cool with just knowing puts or calls. Yeah, exactly. And also, a lot of you guys, and this is something I have noticed, more so since we released the data, and I should say something about it, is that you guys really focus on these in the short term. And all of these measurements are, they are a probability distribution, right? So if you're looking at gamma max, over the intraday, and you're like, oh, gamma max is here on the intraday, right? And that's resistance, or that's going to be the top of whatever move. It takes a while, like that. The options chain has to distribute out, right? So it's not like an instantaneous thing, and that's why like we only get 1 point per day. It's out on the daily time frame, but like if you were to short gamma max, say you short vol GM with 45 DTE, right? And then you go look back at the chart, and all of a sudden, gamma max is far more profound. If you're shorting vol at every test of gamma max over a 45-day period, it's almost 100% accurate over the last 2 years, with the exception of this weird part in January. But so not 100%, but very close, right? Almost every other test of gamma max falls over the next X number of days greater than 15. So you have to remember that these contracts aren't all 0 DTE. There's a lot of contracts on the chain that are falling off over longer periods of time into the next OPEX, into the next end of month, into the end of the quarter. And you have to keep that in mind when you're looking, especially at the neutrals, is that their effect is generally realized over a greater period of time.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Like they don't. Yeah, in the ultra short term, these net chain sort of measurements, they have an effect on, like Greg said, the probability distribution in the ultra short term. But other than that, right, that's about it. So if we're trading like right at GN or something, right, that risk profile will look vastly different than if we're trading right at gamma max. But it's just the risk profile that looks different. It's the risk that's being priced into the market at those, when we're trading at those levels. So you can't necessarily guarantee up or down, but you can understand what spot price is going to be behaving like at those spots. Like, right, if we're like below GN, what does that mean for price, right? It's going to be more like stock brick breaker. And if we're like above GN, it's going to be more like Flappy Bird.
Yeah.
So yeah, and this is I think this was just to directly address the beta testers and everything. If people are, if we're not doing a good enough job of explaining this stuff too, for all you beta testers who are listening, please, by all means, tag me or JFresh or Girk and ask us questions. We'll do our best to answer them.
don't be shy. You're paying for it, so if you have questions, ask them.
Yeah, yeah, we're more than happy to answer questions because it's hard to make a bunch of content. So like, yeah, ask us questions and especially in the beta group too, because it's much like a college class, right? If you have a question, ask it because you're probably not the only person in the class who has the question.
Yeah, and it's not that it's hard to make content. It's just that we're not really at that step yet. We'll get there. We'll get to that phase where we're ready. We're like, this is definitely the product we're releasing, and we're ready to talk about it extensively. But we're still a little ways away from that.
Yeah,
And yeah,
we can make some content on neutrals.
I know, but there are a lot of options chains to sort through, and we need methods for sorting them. So scanners will have to be a part of it. It's unfortunate, but it's also, you know, they're not like signal scanners or like, you know, you see these like trading groups are like, oh, you know, our scanner hit its buy signal for XYZ, right? It's just stuff to look at based on its positioning on its own options chain, because, you know, every options market is unique to that stock. And so these are really, you know, 750 different markets. They're not, and you know, there are stocks that, you know, are more aligned with one another, but a lot of them aren't. A lot of them have nothing to do with any other stocks whatsoever, and their own market is entirely unique.
Yeah, they're like fingerprints.
Yeah. Anyway,
That's what's so cool about it, though. I mean, that should fascinate people more than you know, some sort of universal pattern. The fact that they're all unique means that the variety and opportunities that are out there in this market are massive.
I mean, we have entire groups of people in the Discord that are only trading GME, that are only trading Upstart, right? That's all they trade. And if you learn those markets, you can do it really profitably.
Yeah, don't you know a guy who just trades one stock?
Yeah, well, I mean, the one stock he trades is SPY, but yes.
I mean, yeah, the SPX options market is one that you can learn, but I mean, it's also extremely huge and requires a lot of discipline to not get blown up. But that's the thing. You're just, you know, yeah, I don't have anything else to add to that. I just wanted to make sure that you beta testers understand that we did a lot of this work. We understand a lot of crap, and yes, it's cool to understand a lot of that crap, and you can understand it too, without having to do all the hard fucking math, you know. And you can feel confident in your understanding of it too, without doing a bunch of hard fucking math.
Yeah, you can look at all of the white papers.
Yeah,
they're on the homepage, app.gammastrike.com, and they're all there available to view.
Wait, can they still make it to this page if they're logged in?
You can log out.
Yeah, so log out and then you can see these, and then I'm gonna tell Nuke to put them somewhere inside the thing.
It doesn't need to do that.
I know, he's got so much work. He's done so much work. He's such a great guy.
But,
I just,
yeah,
whenever I
those
hear
are
him
all
talking to the
available.
Discord, I just want to give him a hug.
You're such a weirdo sometimes.
I see him doing all this shit, dude. He's a fucking monster. Yeah. So, but yeah, long story short, ask us questions, please.
Yeah.
I think there's a distinct lack of questions being asked, and that's, I think, the thing that's making me as uneasy is when I got that message from Yaga and then people agreeing with him, I was like, okay, like this is a two-part issue, right? The first part is that people aren't asking enough questions. The second part is they obviously have questions that they need to ask.
I think the thing I notice most is that people are asking the wrong questions.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, maybe there is no wrong question. They just need to be guided better. But I think a lot of people are thinking about the data the wrong way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right.
But we also have like a huge unfair advantage in that we've been fucking with this stuff and using this data for like 3 years. And for us, you know, it's it seems so simple, but there was definitely a time when we were like, "Oh man, this happened. What the fuck does that mean?" And
Right.
so, yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of edge cases in the options market.
Right. And we can provide possible explanations for things that do like, buck the trend in a significant way where you're like, this seems to invalidate this whole like model of the market. And, there's several possible explanations all the time. So getting those explanations would help you be able to come to a better understanding of why that happens, right? Because you're not going to yeah, you are going to have things that break the norm. That's part of a chaotic system, right? Outliers. So definitely bring those up if you see an outlier and you want to know like a possible explanation or two about why that happened. Um,
yeah,
we enjoy talking about that. That's all we do on Sunday and in our spare time is talk about possible explanations for things that break the norm. So yeah, ask away, please.
yep.
I hope at least one beta tester was in here for that, maybe two.
Well, I think a few are. I don't know.
Bob wants to see Nvidia on Gamma Strike. Should we do that? I don't know.
What, show him the video?
Show him anything on Gamma Strike. Should we do that?
I mean, I don't like Bob as much as you don't like Bob, but
guess we could.
data is without.
Yeah, and I just said if someone's got a question, he's not the only one who has that question. So we'll do it for the non-Bobs in here.
All right, so Nvidia's getting kind of close to GN. A little bit of Delta fell off the chain and Gamma on Friday, although levels are still pretty elevated. Dealer net exposure to Delta is still negative, which isn't exactly bullish. So Nvidia would need to break up a little bit higher still to get into a more bullish range. It looks like
GM's in an uptrend, but
yeah, it looks like that would be about 150-ish. Above 150, it could start to get like a little weird, but a lot of these are sold calls.
I would not be surprised if Nvidia chopped based on like GM has like a very very weak uptrend, but like there's so much spread between GM and DN.
Yeah,
Like,
Vol's falling off really hard, so all of these calls coming in are getting sold.
yeah,
Yeah, just not a lot of room. You got like $2 of upside, but it's supported. That's the thing that you got to remember most here, is that this is still fairly well supported unless it loses like 45, and then it could start to weaken more substantially. But even though there's not more room to the upside, that doesn't mean it's bearish. So this is an ideal time to sell vol on Nvidia, and that's what it appears that people are doing.
yeah. All the ground floor people who have millions of shares of this company, yeah, they're cashing in.
That's my secret to know if calls are sold or not, is the curve. Yeah, I mean, well, it can kind of give you some indication of that. If this is, I mean, that's a really weak interpretation. But yeah, if there's call volume coming in here and vol is declining across the chain, like IV10, IV30 are falling, and you're roughly near the top, that is one way of being like making the assumption that those calls are probably sold.
Yeah, what you need to keep an eye on is volume further up too, right? Volume
Yeah.
near that point and volume further up will tell you sort of if the market is repositioning for higher prices. If it's not, then the upside potential, yeah, is quite limited. But if there's like volume coming in at like the 165,
Well, like
right,
what we're
170.
seeing on LMT, right? Where
Yeah,
we're
exactly. Yeah.
where you have, oh, that's not right.
Rescaled beautifully.
Nice.
Don't
If I refresh it
hope
enough times, it'll work, right?
let Nuke see that. If Nuke sees this, he's gonna jump off a bridge.
Oh, God, what are we gonna do?
Oh no!
Oh no, he saw it.
No!
What have we done?
It's just sticking on the scale from the last
I
thing that was
know.
up.
Yeah.
It's annoying.
I'm gonna like change the page. Go back. There we go. Anyway, yeah, like what we're seeing on LMT, where you're getting, a lot of bullish positioning here, which is way out of the money, right? Like, obviously, these calls aren't being sold out here because they'd be worthless. So we're seeing like interest come in on the chain here, and then even further out of the money, implying that, whoever's out here is just mega fucking bullish.
Yeah, I think those calls are sold, but the fact they're sold so far out of the money
Is also mega bullish.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
That's their risk tolerance, right? You're looking at their risk tolerance, and it's quite wide. So, and yeah, there's like even if it does drop, right? There's just the market maker's not going to be dumping a ton of delta on the way down, so it's probably just going to consolidate if it goes back down.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, once you get around here, it really starts to fall off pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
if it lost like 50 to the downside, it would probably dump back to like 520 or 530, but it doesn't. I mean, it's a little bit supported here, and the interest out of the money is picking up, and IV is rising. So all of those things, are pretty bullish.
Yeah.
Anyway, fun walkthrough. We will actually make real videos covering each indicator and how we use it, how you can use it. I mean, obviously we only know how we use it, and there's a lot more ways to interpret this data than what we've decided works best for us.
Yeah. No, we're not handing you a can opener. We're handing you a chef knife.
Yeah.
So yeah, make of it what you will. But yeah, I enjoyed this. And then involving JFresh too, to give that, JFresh. He's gonna say some weird shit though.
Yeah, well, at least we'll be filming them prior so I can edit out all the times when he says way too much.
Right. Yeah, he gets into shit, and I'm starting to get bored. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I hope that helped you guys. Fluffy, looks like it helped you a bit. That's awesome. Girk, let's just do this. I think just for like neutrals and Greek spy strike, we can probably do a decent little blurb on that later on. Maybe.
Yeah, we could sit down at some point and push something out to the pigeon whales.
Yeah, and yeah, we'll figure out a time.
Or maybe we'll just do like a pigeon whale stream, and then just cover like all the questions about neutrals and stuff.
Yeah, I think a Q&A would be great
Yeah.
as well. Maybe that'll help people feel a little more, welcome to ask whatever questions they want. Don't mind it.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, Torque. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate it. As always, sure. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and the rest of you as well. If you need me, I'll be on the Discord working. But if you have any questions, shoot them my way. Or if you have any questions on the beta, just tag any of us in the channels, and we'll try to get to you and get you answers. And thanks. And I'll have Pickles picks out tonight. See you guys all tomorrow.
Thanks for having me, Girk. Later, guys.
Later, everybody.